Hello and good day to you, my beautiful friends. I do hope you are well. Welcome to episode 41 of Cross Button VR, a journey into the world of PSVR2, a show for those who would like to share in our newfound enthusiasm for the world of VR. Now, I'm your host, Laurie, but just to let you know, we are part of the Cross Players. So if you like what you hear, do check out thecrossplayers.com for links to all of our content and our Discord. And if you like this show, you should really check out Crosscast, our weekly pod that follows the full gamut of gaming. Now, it is an honor to be joined by two of the most sensational influencers in the metaverse. It's Ben and Alex. Hi there, chaps.
Hello.
Hey.
I mean, sensational in the kind of, you'd read about it in the tabloids, kind of, oh my God, have you seen this sensational news? These two are.
It's a
are on the show.
scandal.
It's a scandal. Yeah, you are quite sensational. You do like to sensationalize.
So scandalous.
Yeah.
I feel like you taught me how to sensationalise that, Laurie.
Yeah.
I learned from the master.
Anyone that wants to go viral now, just talk to Ben and he'll give you some shit to tweet and wind people up.
Hey, just talk about stuff you like and people hate it. That's all you need to do.
Welcome
people
to
like
the
to
internet.
shit on happiness, don't they?
Episode 41, lads.
Yeah.
As we all know, life begins at 41.
Yeah, they never said you'd make it, did they, Ben? Never make it to 41.
No.
Or 41 episodes of this show.
Yes.
Good. Well, once again, there's some news. Some quite big news this week, actually, and a huge announcement today. We'll get to in a minute. And then, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but it's the end of the year. And what do people usually do around the end of the year?
Eat loads of chocolate.
Yeah.
Yep. Celebrate Christmas. Yep. Yeah. Get drunk. Drink too much, get fed up of going out all the time and just feel really tired. No, it's the Game of the Year Awards show that we're doing. Our first ever cross-button VR Game of the Year. CBVRGOTY. Yeah?
Yeah.
Supervicatees.
What? Okay. It's like that Sesame Street episode where Big Bird sees all the alphabet on the wall and thinks it's one word. That's what you are. A big bird.
A big bird.
A big bird. Yes, we're going to do our Game of the Year. Now, we've not done this in a very democratic fashion or anything. We have literally just come up with some categories, and we not covered every category there is in the world. We've just covered the ones that we fancy, and then we're going to go through and pick a winner in each category, and then we might have an overall Game of the Year as well. So that's going to be exciting. But first, no, it's not going to be Mastodon. Spoilers, isn't it? Well, who knows? It might be.
You don't know.
I don't think it's going to be. Well, it's not been nominated for the Game of the Year, so
Doesn't mean it can't be.
well, we're going to reopen nominations on the night. So yeah, it's good to see that you two are dressed up for the occasion. Ben, there, you're basketball. You at least have some good branding there, Alex.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Can't help it.
No. Okay, news.
It's cold, all right?
It is cold, isn't it? Bloody cold this week. It must be really cold for you, Alex. Although for once you're not wearing your jumper and your blanket and your hoodie and you've got the heating on. You turn the heating on in your house.
I've been sitting in front of the fire for a couple of hours, so I think my antennas have heated up. It's been
Toasty. Good.
That is very cold.
Lovely.
Anyway.
Yeah, but you're both well though. Anyway, before we get stuck into the news.
Well, I'm fairly well. I've been a lot under the weather this week, which you can
haven't you?
probably just about hear. But yeah, I'm all right.
You sound good. You look good. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, you have a nice chilled out week, man.
Yeah, very chilled out.
Nice chilled out. Lots of
Too chilled out for my liking.
Lots of Portal playing.
Loads of Portal. Yeah. Maybe I'll tell you about it if we get time at the end.
Oh, well, maybe. Cool. Okay, well, let's get to the news quickly because we've got a lot to get through tonight. And I'm going to try and keep this show to an hour because otherwise you frown at me if I don't. And also, it's a high risk that I fall asleep because we are recording a little bit later than usual. And I do not want to fall asleep on the show because that would be embarrassing. So, without further ado, let's get into the news. And the first thing that was announced today is that Resident Evil 4's VR mode is coming on the 8th of December. That's so soon, isn't it? That's like a few days after this podcast airs. And not only that, there's going to be a demo the same day, which means that I get to try out and realise that I don't like horror games in VR. And I'm like, yep, that's enough. A 20-minute, 30-minute demo, that's enough for me. Although I think if it's like the same demo that they did for the non-VR mode, it's quite a generous demo, I believe. So hopefully it's a good chunk of the game. So yeah, next week. That's good, isn't it? I am surprised that they didn't announce it at the Game Awards and almost like it's coming in. What is the game? Was on the 8th? Is that as
The
well?
Game Awards of the night of the 7th, so that's the Thursday night. The Game Awards, so it would have been basically a shadow drop if they had announced it at the Game Awards.
Yeah, I wonder if they thought it was going to leak or something, because that would have been such a big announcement. We've been saying it, shadow drop, and then boom, it's out tomorrow. Everyone was like, oh my god.
Yeah, I think they probably caught wind of a potential leak, I would imagine. Like,
or PlayStation have got bigger things to announce at Game Awards.
Well,
surely not. Or they don't think VR is big enough.
Well, we'll come on to that in a second. But yeah, Resident Evil 4. So that's, I mean, we was hoping it would be. I'm surprised actually it is going to be December, because there's quite a lot already going on in December. I think you messaged me, Alex. I bet the devs at Vertigo 2 and Arizona Sunshine 2 are like, you bastards, you absolute bastards. That's our release window. You've just had it.
We said earlier on in the year, though, that if Resident Evil 4 does make it this calendar year, that's a really strong first year for PSVR2.
Yeah.
This is the base game is... I don't even have to say, I've said, just go back and listen to every other episode of this podcast. But
and also Crosscast.
If the VR holds up to the base game and the DLC, which I played through a few weeks ago, we are in for an absolute treat. It's so good. And I cannot wait, and I will happily play through it all over again.
And given how well the conversion was done for Resident Evil 7 and 8, it bodes well for this one. Although I guess those ones were already first-person games, whereas this isn't. So that's the challenge as to whether or not they've converted the gameplay and all of the action set pieces and stuff into first-person, how well that works.
But it has been a VR game before in first-person, I think, hasn't it? So they did release a version of the game in VR a couple of years ago. On Quest, I think, and PC potential. I think maybe just Quest.
Oh, here we go. On Quest, you can play. You've already completed it on Quest, haven't you bastard?
No, it wasn't this version of the game, though. So I mean, I think this version of the game's a different story.
It's the old one, isn't it? It's the old one.
So hopefully
the trailer they dropped today looks awesome as well. So I've got every confidence it's going to be fucking amazing. Yeah.
So obviously I've not played the base game. You have played the base game. So did you recognise moments in the trailer? Did they look particularly different? It's like, oh wow, that's now in first person. Did it make those moments you saw different?
No, not massively. I mean, it looked like Resident Evil 4 to me. I didn't think, oh, that's odd. But every set piece and everything that they showed in the trailer was like, oh yeah, I know that bit. I know that bit. It's just going to have. Just being able to look around and be in that world is just going to add such an extra little layer of immersion and hopefully fun and hopefully a little bit more dread as well, because it's not the scariest of horror games. It's more just tense.
Action, more action, isn't this one?
Yeah. But there's a good few moments actually that I couldn't wait to get out of. So there are a few scary moments. And in VR, that's going to be interesting.
I hope they need that panic room button like they had on that game that Alex played a while ago, where you can just at any point you can just go to a nice safe space where it's just nice and relaxed and calming.
Blink.
Yeah, blink.
Yeah, that would be nice.
They need that setting. You could like mash all the buttons when you're just panicking and just so you get transported to some nice.
Yeah,
calm.
Go back to the merchant, so you can just play in the shooting gallery, which they also showed in the trailer, which looks fun. So.
But yeah, on the subject of the first year, you've got GT7, Call of the Mountain, Resident Evil 4, Synapse. Like, they are 4 high quality AAA games.
And Village.
And Village as well. Yeah, so 5 AAA games exclusive to the headset. I mean, Christ, what more do people want? That is just such a good support for the first year for what is quite a niche audience, a niche headset, but Sony is still delivering through their partners and themselves quality stuff to play on it that you cannot play anywhere else, and tons of other stuff that you can play elsewhere but plays really well, if not best, on PSVR2. So yeah, great.
Permission to use an image from Resident Evil 4 in this week's thumbnail, by the way. Is that okay?
Well, we'll discuss that. Push go.
We'll take that offline.
If you can get one of a zombie wearing a little tux, maybe for the awards. A zombie at an awards ceremony. That's your challenge.
It'll be Ada Wong in her dinner dress. There we go.
Oh, there you go. You'd wear that to an awards ceremony. There you go. Ada Wong at the Game of the Year awards.
She pulls it off.
Yeah, you could do it. Next up on the news, Breaches has been delayed. Now, lots of people were looking forward to this. Alex, you were one of them. It's been delayed just indefinitely, is it? No, he's shaking his head like, no, fuck off, I don't want to play this game. It's been in. It's probably another one that's delayed.
Shooter? Yeah.
I thought you were looking forward to it, but maybe not. It's just been another one that's been delayed for It's just for quality control, quality assurance. It's not passed, and they don't know when it's coming in the end. So yeah, another delay. Probably just another few more weeks. Probably they'll try and release it now mid December with everything else, but who knows?
Yeah, I think Reese was looking forward to it, and he's gutted.
No, well, Reese is like Alex. You're both very similar people. Reese, Alex, all the same.
There you
go.
Thanks.
Sorry, Reese.
No, you are not. So that's a shame for people looking forward to Breaches. Hopefully, you won't have to wait long for that one. A game which has also been revealed this week has been not for broadcast. Have you seen this one? This was quite under the radar. This one. This is a game coming on December the 4th. It's a PC VR. And I think Quest as well, port, and it looks like quite an interesting game where you are in a newsroom studio and you have to kind of edit the news show. You're like editing an episode of Newsnight, basically, which is quite topical. And it's set in some sort of V for Vendetta style authoritarian future of Great Britain, and you've got to try and sort of make the news but make it conform to the party line or something. It just looks really interesting. It's supposed to have a really good like satirical storyline. So I think for people that like that kind of V for Vendetta, that kind of Papers, Please, there was a game about Brexit that I played that was a bit like Papers, Please. I played on the Switch a few years ago that was sort of similar sort of vibe as this. But yeah, it looks really interesting and it's supposed to be very good.
Yeah, because it's one I think people have. I don't know if it was on PSVR1, but it's been on. There's been flat versions of the game out, and it was rumoured. Well, I think we knew it was coming, but there was no date, and people had actually anticipated that it was a date that it was supposed to come out early in the month, but it was a bit of confusion around it was coming to other platforms in the flat version rather than it coming out on VR. So this is announced officially it's coming in VR, and it's coming, what, is it 12th of December, did you say there?
No, 14th
did you even put it 14th
December,
of December?
I said.
Yeah. So,
I thought you said 4th. So we're all confused.
Yeah.
It's the 14th, it's fine.
14th. At some point in that busy week. So...
Well, speaking of busy weeks, on December the 6th, we have got the Upload VR Winter Showcase, which is going to be on their YouTube and also on IGN's channel as well. Which these guys, they get pretty good support from VR developers. They get quite a few good trailers and stuff. And they put out a tweet, Perp Games put out a tweet this week saying they've got 3 games featured in the show. They got Madison VR, Vertigo 2, and a game called Mixture, which they're going to be showing on it, which is... seems pretty cool. Another little showcase to look forward to, and that's on the 6th of. So I think that's the day after this episode comes out. I think this episode is going to be out on the 5th. People have got. Yeah, if you haven't heard the news, you've got a day to find yourself, to find your way to YouTube to watch this. I think it's going to be 10 a.m. I don't know where
Pacific time. I think it's 10 a.m. Pacific times. I think it's about 6 p.m. UK time.
Okay, thank you. 10 a.m. Pacific time. Yeah, you're right. You're right there. I can see that now. So yeah, that'd be something to watch next week. Some new VR trailers, nice. And then hopefully we'll get something at the Game Awards as well. Because there was a bit of chatter because this week it's only put out a new advert for the headset, which is a pretty cool advert, and it features like a number of games, not in-game footage, but someone in a kind of scenario as if it's like real life for them, which is trying to convey. Obviously, that's like when you wear the headset. And it featured a game which looked like Resident Evil Village. What was the 4th game? I can't remember now. What was the 4th game? But the first game was Horizon. That's it. Yeah, of course. Yeah, there was someone climbing up a tall neck in a village, which is that early scene from the beginning of Resident Evil 4. But then the first game they featured with it was this kind of space combat crash landing thing, climbing out of the spaceship, and everyone was like, hello, what is this game? We don't recognise this. This looks like something we don't really know what it is yet. So it's got everyone thinking maybe they're going to reveal something soon for that. And the fact they're showing it in a trailer alongside Resident Evil 4, which is coming out next week, and Call of the Mountain, which is already out, maybe it's something that's going to be out relatively quickly as well. Who knows? But there's nothing obvious that's already out or that people know about that game could be. So
do you know what it is? Do you know what it is?
Do you know what it is?
Yeah.
Because I saw a lot of people say, it looks like Returnal.
No, well, basically the ship's going to crash, isn't it? So it's going to need a rescue mission. So Astrobot's going to need to come along, and Astrobot
Jesus
is going to
Christ.
come along and do it.
I thought you were going to say, is it Masternoid? Is it?
It's Astrobot.
It definitely looked very Astrobot.
Returnal.
It could be.
It looked more like Returnal than any other than Masternoid or Astrobot. Anyway,
Yeah, no, it's none of those things. I don't think it'd be Returnal. It might be Returnal, but I don't think so.
God, imagine. God, I would lap that up.
I don't want any more roguelikes. I don't.
Maybe that's what
Returnal was too difficult for me. Although playing it in first person in VR would be really
incredible.
It would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Flying at you, fucking hell, man. Yes,
it would be intense. But I mean,
But
how
do you know what
you would do some of those boss
could-
fights though? It's so like, complex.
You know what it could be though.
What could
Like,
it be?
well, say if you take Returnal, right, and then you take the Studio, and then what did they make before Returnal, which has ships which do crash, and you need to, it could be a version of Resogun in VR. That would be cool.
Well, we called
That
it
would be
first.
cool.
If it is a Housemarque game, then we called it first because we said, didn't we, that they could be up to some arcade game they could give the VR treatment to.
Yep.
Cool.
Specifically.
Oh, did you now? Okay.
We're a team. Whatever. I don't want all the glory. But
Well, I look forward to the new year when we do our predictions episode for the year, and we'll see how many you get right, Ben, as you're clearly some sort of oracle of VR. You.
Just an oracle.
They call me. Yeah.
Final bit of news that I want to touch on this week is that Kayak VR Mirage heard my prayers, heard what we've been talking about for the last few weeks about why is there not a Christmas game in VR. And you know what they've only gone and done, lads? They've gone and made a Christmas VR game. And there is it's not like I got excited last week when you mentioned that Call of the Mountain had snow in it. And I thought, okay, that could satisfy me. No. This is full on. And I played this last night. It is fucking brilliant. It is so Christmassy. It's so nice. I would recommend to people buying this game. It's on sale at the moment, just for this Christmas stage. It's so like it's not a game, okay. It is an experience. You're playing it to go hiking and some settings and stuff. It's a graphics thing, but you're doing it at night. There's fireworks going off constantly, and the fireworks look amazing. There are Christmas trees and there are twinkly lights decked up everywhere in this canyon, strewn across this canyon from one side to another, all around every tree. It's got Christmas lights for it. It's snowing, and the snow is the most realistic looking snow that you're in the middle of. And it's got the most lovely, soft, Christmassy music in the background. And I was just like, this is just so like captivatingly beautiful. It's just so like, there is nothing like it that I've ever played that. It's just like, this is like a Christmassy thing that is just so Christmassy in a game. So yeah, I'm so happy because it made me laugh though. We've been talking about it for the last few weeks. Someone's gone and done it. Yeah. But I was so happy playing it. And I just sort of was in the kayak and I just sort of laid back and looked up at the sky. Just had like snow falling on my face and just looking up, watching the fireworks pop off. And there's like a big, huge Christmas tree at the end of the canyon that you get to that you can just like look at as well. And it's just like, this is absolute like Christmas magic there. So if anyone that doesn't ever get to experience real snow because they live in a world where part of the world where it never really snows, then play this game because it is just the most like I've ever felt like I've actually been out in the snow.
Wow.
So, yeah.
This is me going off on a little tangent, but
go on, you go for it. Go for it.
So I accidentally played a Christmas game in VR this week as well. So like I was playing. We're going to the quest. Sorry, but we're going to the quest, and I was playing Rich's plank experience. I don't know if you know what this is, but it's basically you walk a plank into a really tall building. It's basically to like face your fears on vertigo type thing. And I came out of the elevator, and it takes you in an elevator, and it takes you to these like the top of the buildings to like walk over, and you just think you're hovering over like these spaces, and then you can fall off, and it's quite fun. But there was a bell, and it said ring the bell, so I rang the bell. And then suddenly I was transported onto the back of Santa's sleigh with all my reindeer pulling me away, and it was taking me around all these buildings to throw presents in a chimney. And I'm like, that's a Christmas game.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool. Not quite as kind of magical as my Christmas experience, but it sounds quite fun.
Did you throw any gifts down chimneys?
Yeah. Did you get pulled off by a reindeer?
Exactly. With red nose.
No, mine was far more wholesome. Right,
Wholesome
okay.
schmolesome.
Wholesome schmolsome. Well, that does it for the news. I think we could go on about those games and things all day long, but we're not going to because we've got other things to talk about. Okay.
Okay.
Now, we're not going to do what we've been playing. But Alex, you did want to mention one thing. Be very brief. Go on. Just tell us what it is that you've been playing that you wish you hadn't.
I've been playing Suicide Guy VR Deluxe. Don't play Suicide Guy VR Deluxe. Don't buy Suicide Guy VR Deluxe. It's very bad. The controls are very bad. The frame rate's terrible. You'll probably be sick. If from the frame rate perspective, but yeah, it's definitely when you hear all these games that are getting stuck in QA or quality control at Sony, and then you see shite like this coming out, and I know that's probably quite harsh, but it's not good, and don't waste your money on it.
Is it not the case that every platform, if you look at the Switch eShop, there's just so much shovelware crap that's on there, and it's just because there's a smaller pool of games for VR, people
it feels like
playing everything.
It feels like you get hung up on the wrong things, though, because I mean, a lot of the stuff that like VR Skater was pulled back for was because the trophies weren't popping right and stuff, whereas you should be pulling it up more on things like this game runs like trash and literally is, I think, from reading something, I think it's some bits is just completely unplayable. So yeah, not great.
Oh well,
bad.
Let's not dwell
7
on
out
that.
of 10 there from Alex.
That's the we won't do the official Crossbutton VR review scale, but it sounds like it wouldn't fare well in it, so it's probably better we don't. Cool. Well, let's move on to the main event, the main event of the show. But before we do, I'd just like to remind everyone that they can support us by giving the podcast a sub on the service they use. And if they'd like to leave us a review too, they can please do so. Follow us on Twitter at CrossbuttonVR and at the Crossplayers. And if you would really like to show the love, you can do so via patreon.com/the Crossplayers. And for £2 a month, you can join that and help produce the show and gain entry into our lovely little WhatsApp group and join the many people that have already done so and are having lots of fun looking at Phil2's feet pics. Cool. Right, how would you like to do Game of the Year awards? Because we can go through category by category. I could read out all the categories and all the nominees, and then we can go through and pick a winner each one. How would you like to do it, chaps?
Let's do one at a time.
Okay.
Let's do one at a time. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the categories we've got, I'll let you pick the order we do the categories in. We have, and I just want to say, we've not done every category because, we don't play every type of game. So we thought it wouldn't be fair to do a kind of best horror game category because we just don't have enough experience in that. Maybe by next year we'll have played more.
Resident Evil 4 isn't out yet.
Well, yeah.
And that would win.
So
what's the
By
perhaps?
default.
Perhaps. But so, yeah, in areas where we thought, we just don't have enough knowledge or expertise or haven't played enough in this genre, we've just done it. So, it might not be the most comprehensive things, but we are but three men. What can we do? So the categories we have are best arcade game, best narrative game, best puzzle game, best action adventure game, best multiplayer game, best sports game, and the coveted Game of the Year, which we're going to do last. But the rest of them, you can pick the order on. Which one would you like to do? You'd like to do first, chaps, and I'll
Just
tell you
do
the
that
nominees.
order you read them out in. Keep it simple.
Okay. Well, best arcade game then.
No, not that
We
one.
have
No.
not that one. Any of them but that one. Best arcade game. We have as the nominees Masternoid, Pistol Whip, Synth Riders, and Beat Saber. Now, Alex, I'm not going to ask you who you think should win that one. Ben, who do you think should win that?
It's Masternoid. All day, every day. It's got to be Masternoid. Absolutely. For what nails a classic arcade feel, I definitely think it should be Masternoid. As great as all those other games are, for an award from us, that if there's one game that defines our first year doing this little podcast, that is the game. So 100%
nothing less about this podcast. Thank you very much.
Okay, this
Huge
bumper episode of the podcast.
This bumper podcast.
Masternoid, no question. That's my vote.
Alex,
I don't think you need to ask me, do you? It's
I'm
absolutely
very surprised, Ben,
absolutely Masternoid.
how definitive you are there. See, my vote would go to Synth Riders. I don't think I'm going to win this one there. Synth Riders would be and because I'm thinking of like in there, it's the kind of Dance Revolution arcade things where you stood there, you're doing your dancing on
You
it.
just
It's
insulted Pixel Magnet again by not voting for
Can't
them.
help yourself, can
No,
you?
they don't mind.
From day one, you've hated this game, Laurie.
Yeah, that has been quite the turnaround, isn't it? I remember those episodes where I hadn't even, we used to accuse Alex of making it out, didn't we? But no, it is a real game, and it seems like it's now about to win from nowhere.
Award-winning game.
Hadn't even heard of it. It's now going to win the best arcade game.
Damn
and
right, and fully deserved. It's not just It's not just like because it's got a special place in our heart. It obviously has, but this is a game I've put far more hours into that than any of the other games. That was my first platinum in VR. I couldn't stop playing it, and the high score chasing stuff that's what an arcade game is all about. So absolutely, categorically, objectively, the best arcade game on PSVR2.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I'm absolutely happy to see you go to Masternode because you're absolutely right in everything you say. It is very much our arcade game of the year, if there is anything. Just for the music alone, I think it deserves it, and it feels like you were in. It just recreates that aesthetic downward of being in an arcade in the 80s, 90s. That look, the music, the sound of it. You can just imagine the kind of sticky carpet when you're there playing it with your mates and stuff, just taking it in turns trying to do the high scores. And the high, if you think of an arcade game as a high score challenge, then Alex, you're kind of one of the best players in the world at this game. So, yeah, for anything else to get the nod would have been farcical.
Agreed.
Well deserving. Click
is it
for
official?
Masternode. Yeah.
Yeah. Well done, Masternode. Well done. Yeah. Anything you want to say?
His hands on camera. Has anyone else ever noticed that?
No. Absolutely not.
Not clapping for that.
Any comments on would Pistol Whip or Beat Saber, would any of them get in a world without Masternode?
Pistol Whip would have taken it without Masternode for me, definitely.
Yeah, I would agree. Probably.
Very good.
I think it's probably the second one we've had the most fun with it for the kind of similar reasons, isn't it?
Yep.
So, yeah.
Definitely.
Right, well, let's see if every category can be dealt with as easily as that one. Next up, we have the best narrative game. So this is games which are, there are other games that have a story, and these games are other sorts of things as well, but they are particularly have a really good, strong story throughout them. And we have for these Before Your Eyes, Another Fisherman's Tale, Red Matter 2, and The Seventh Guest. Now, I feel like, once again, I'm about to be outvoted by my co-host on this one, based on the experience you two had playing Before Your Eyes.
It's a difficult one, though, because, 3 of those 4 games I liked. So, it's...
Yeah.
And
3 of the 4 I haven't played. So
you need to...
makes it tricky. Yeah.
I think probably like the experience of Before Your Eyes, because we played it so early on and because it was so different in terms of how it, and I think for me and Ben, I think it made us both cry.
Yeah.
Didn't it? So,
I you know what, I didn't have that same impact with you, but I can happily see, and I can almost not begrudgingly, but I can accept that the narrative, the job that game did telling a story, and unlike the other ones where they are kind of puzzle games mainly puzzle games really, Before Your Eyes is first and foremost purely a narrative game. You are being told a story in an incredibly captivating way, and I gotta admire it for what it does there, and say it didn't have quite the same, didn't nail its ending for me for technical reasons, but it's still throughout it. I just think it told a very powerful story and a very interesting story in a way that it was tackles something that I've never seen a video game tackle before in its story. You don't want to say anything, don't want to spoil anything because I don't want to give away the impact of it, but it's just such a kind of bold and kind of daring subject to tackle. And then when you realize that God, I'm really trying to be careful with what I say. When it's all finally all the pieces fall into place and it's all revealed what's happening, it should be a powerful moment. That does really, the fact that it's in VR as well really elevates that as well. If you are playing that, 100%. And I know you can play it in a non VR fashion, but just being that goes back to like what York said when he was on the show about how you have your full attention, you are focused on this and nothing else. You can't be looking at your phone or distracted by other things. So you are focusing on this story. So it's a bit like cinema in that respect, where you can't really do anything else but watch what's on screen or what's around you in VR's case. So
yeah, I think for a game to make Alex and I cry is amazing in itself, because I've never done that from a game before. I've never felt that way about a game, but it immediately just made me cry, take my headset off, hug my children, and think about life. And for a game to do something that powerful is remarkable. So yeah, I think it's a deserving winner of this one. Having not played the other 3 games, I can only vouch for this one. But yeah, fantastic.
Alex?
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, Red Matter 2 I loved, and I think going back to the episode where we spoke about Red Matter 2, like, even probably as much as the experience over the narrative for Red Matter 2, I think, but from a pure narrative perspective, I don't think you can take anything away from Before Your Eyes here. I think it just head and shoulders above the rest for what it delivered for me. So yeah, I am in agreement with Ben.
Mm-hmm. I would make a case for another Fisherman's Tale, just because the way that mixes gameplay and story and being in VR, the bits where you're kind of in the present day in the person's basement, and then you're in the models having the story told to you. It's so charming and just French, just so quirky and so with such kind of flair. And again, that had a real impact. The story, the message of that story about, again, I don't think I want to actually say what it is to spoil anything, but that for me was very personal. The impact that had as well, and the feeling that how as your life, as you grow old, as your life changes, and your responsibilities change, and things are scary, and the world is scary, and you kind of want to run from things sometimes. It's about facing up to responsibilities and stuff. And the way, again, that tells the story, tells that sort of story through the gameplay is very clever indeed. So yeah, I think that does do a good job, and I think a lot of people. Well, I'm gutted that you didn't click with Alex, because I think there is a story there.
I'm going to try it again. It's on my list to try again, because I think I realised why I didn't click with it, because I was probably at the time, and I realised I made a mistake at the bit that I got frustrated at. So I do want to go back and try it again, and I probably need to more or less restart it anyway. So I will. I promise I will try it again.
But I think anyway, regardless of that, I think Before Your Eyes, yeah. Fantastic story, well told.
We didn't really give Seventh Guest much props there, but it also told a really good story, and it told it in a really cool way. But I think we'll talk about that in another category. So,
Seventh Guest was found a lot of favour with us, and firm favour of us. It's also been nominated in the next category, which we'll move on to now. Best Puzzle Game. And so for this, the nominees are The Room VR, The Seventh Guest, The Last Clockwinder, and Tetris Effect.
It's a tough category.
That's tough.
Yeah,
because they're very different sort of games, aren't they? Because I mean, Tetris, that is a pure. I mean, because what you see, like, that's a puzzle game, but you're not solving puzzles. It's just a puzzle game where you're fitting in the blocks as they come down, and that's more of a kind of experience. It's the whole everything to do with Tetris Effect. It's the music, it's the visuals, it's the haptic feedback when you drop it, when you get a Tetris. It's all of that as part of it, as much as it's a puzzle game. It seems quite reductive to call it a puzzle game. Whereas stuff like the Room VR, that is a puzzle game.
Damn. I mean, and then the Last Clockwinder is something totally different. I mean, it's. I love Tetris. Like, Tetris is my baby. Like, it's one of my favorite. Tetris in its classic is just everything about me. But I think, and then the Room VR, when we all played the Room VR, we're like, this is what we wanted in VR. Like, this was exactly what we wanted. And then Seventh Guest came along and kind of took everything that the Room VR did really well, and then layered a proper good narrative on the top of it with good acting and good music and all, like, just gave it the whole package.
So would you both say, because I haven't played The Seventh Guest yet, would you both put that above The Room? I think you pretty much both alluded to that.
Yeah, for sure.
So in which case, let's discount The Room. Because although we all loved it, I trust you both, if you both think that Seventh Guest is even better, then I'd say just let's take The Room out of the equation.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think we take Tetris out of the equation because I think that game, although it's exceptional and has been, and I've played it so many times on so many platforms over the years, I think realistically, for how much time we've spent in these games and for the ones we've probably enjoyed the most, it does come down to those two, The Last Clockwinder and Seventh Guest VR, I would say.
And interesting, both of those have got a strong narrative to them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like The Seventh Guest has probably got a stronger narrative. I think The Last Clockwinder was more about for me, what I took away from it was more about the solving of the puzzles rather than the story.
Yeah, well, let's talk about those puzzles, because that is a game where I'd never done anything like that, where you see the sort of, you go into the room and you see on the board, like, this is what I need to try and do. And you think, how on earth am I going to get build a machine essentially that's going to do this? And you have to kind of use your own body. An absolutely ingenious mechanic.
Yeah, I absolutely loved that element of it. Just being able to put real world skills into a VR game, like being able to shoot from a distance to get a little seed into a bucket was amazing, and having a automaton to copy that was just mind blowing to me. So I think puzzle wise, the creativity of the puzzles and everything else was just something that I've never experienced before, and it's something that I think would only work in VR. So yeah, I would have to vote for that by default, having not played Seventh Guest. But as I said, if you guys both feel more strongly about Seventh Guest, I know Alex wasn't quite as up on The Last Clockwinder as you and I, Laurie. So
no, I was probably out of the three of us, I was probably was the least, not enamoured, because it's not fair. I did like it and I thought it was really clever and really creative. It probably was less of my type of game for that kind of thing. Whereas Seventh Guest, really, I loved. It was the first game in a wee while that I just, like, when I started it, I'm like, this is really clever, like, this is really well done, it's really well shot, and really captured, like, my full attention, and I had to finish it. It was like, no, back on it till it was done. So I think for me, I would pick The Seventh Guest, and probably deciding vote's going to come to you, Laurie, because you probably loved both of them.
I really did, yeah. And it's a really tough one because, The Last Clockwinder had, if you think of a puzzle game, it's when you have that aha moment and you realise that when the solution becomes obvious, it's a real, and you think, I've been making this so much harder than it needs to be, and it clicks and you realise, hold on a minute, I can just throw this across the room and then I can just walk over there, catch it, and then just pop it in the bin, or do what I need to do with it and stuff, or I can just whack it and just whack it across the room. It's just, when that all clicks in your brain, that is just such a wonderful moment. It is like a revelation. It's just everything you've been trying to do now, the way you've been approaching these puzzles before, you just realize how small you've been thinking, and it's like it all clicks and you think, hold on a minute, I don't need to do this anymore. And then you see the rooms and it shows you, like, you need to be able to do this with like 4 robots, and you think, I've made about 16 of the buggers here, and I've just about managed to build a chain that can do it. And how on earth could I do this with 4? And then by the time you come back to it, once you finish the game, you're like, how stupid was I at the start of the game? So the way that it teaches you to do that is so clever, so brilliant. So I love that for it. But in The Seventh Guest, I just love, because that is, you have those kind of smaller, there's nothing quite as the same big revelation as that. Each room's got lots of puzzles in, and they're very satisfying each to solve them. But there's nothing there's nothing that I'll kind of remember in the same way that I do with the Lost Clockwinder, like that moment. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. And 7 Guests, I've finished it. Phil 2 will be pleased to know that I finished it this week, so I'll stop chatting on about it now in future episodes. So yeah, I've got the restart. I have really enjoyed that. I mean, there were some bits of it. There were some rooms were stronger than others, but there was just that moment where you go into a room and you're like, right, what do I have in front of me now? What puzzles have I got here? Trying to work your way around it all, and all the while you're being treated to an evolving story that's compelling you through it. So you kind of felt more than a puzzle game. God, I don't know. I think I'm going to give it to the Lost Clockwinder. Just for that, thinking of what the puzzle game. I think I've just talked myself into it. Is in that moment when you realise how to solve these puzzles and how there's nothing else like it out there.
It's the best feeling in a puzzle game, isn't it? That aha moment when you feel like the sort of dual satisfaction of God, aren't the developers clever? And God, aren't I clever? And that's just like the perfect marriage in a puzzle game. So, yeah, good choice, Laurie.
Well done. Last
Are we clicking again? We only clicked for one category so far.
All right, I'll click.
Oh, there's his hands. Look,
I got told off last time, so there we go. Big hands.
Yeah, cool. Last clock.
Well, there you go.
Choice.
Didn't expect that one. Right, next category is the best.
Also, humanity was robbed.
Was it?
No.
Yeah. Well, better in non-VR, to be fair. But
I'd say you like that game that much.
No, I like it. It's just better in non-VR.
Okay, well then I can't say it's the best VR puzzle game.
Honourable mention.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Best action adventure game. Now there's loads to choose from in this game. So we didn't do best shooter, best horror game. You could have made a case for all of those could have been action adventure games though, but I thought no, they are more shooter games. So what are actual action adventure games? The nominees for this one are Call of the Mountain, Red Matter 2, Synapse, Vampire the Masquerade, Justice.
Oh.
Woof.
You say it often and I feel like there's an obvious answer. Because for all the games in there we've enjoyed, like Call of the Mountain I haven't revisited. Ben, I know you've been revisiting it over the last couple of weeks, but for me, like hands down or hands up or telekinesis all over the place, that it has to go to Synapse or Synapse. I don't think I've ever said it like that before.
Synapse. I want to play Synapse.
No matter even how much I really like Vampire the Masquerade, and I think I probably would like Call of the Mountain if we went back to it, and I love Red Matter 2. I think Synapse has just got something a wee bit special about it.
Agreed. I would possibly argue that it doesn't have the adventure part of the category as much. Like action, of course, but adventure, not so much.
It's certainly a case for Call of the Mountain.
I'm going to make a case for Call of the Mountain, having revisited it and loving it at the moment. I think it's got both of them things, like by the bucket load, and the more you play it, the more you get to bigger and more bombastic action sequences, fighting bigger and bigger enemies. The sense of adventure as you're climbing up more and more epic mountains and doing more crazy shit to get across a gaping gap. I think for something that embodies action and adventure, I think it's a strong contender. So, as great as Synapse is, I think in this particular category, my vote would go for Call of the Mountain.
I think you've convinced me there, Ben. I think you're right in terms of the actual sense of what an action adventure game is, because Synapse is a roguelike at the end of the day, and that you don't get that sense of adventure. You're not going on a grand quest. Well, yeah, I mean, you could have put the Red Matter games. They maybe they were robbed for the best puzzle game. There's so many of these games fall into
big crossover,
different genres. They are kind of action, puzzle, narrative. What do you call those games? I mean, they're great games, but but yeah, in terms of the action adventure game, it has the action in it. It has obviously great that sense of scale, that adventure in that Horizon world.
Am I getting voted here then? Feels like it.
I think you might be. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, Synapse. Just in terms of that category and that, given that title. But don't worry, Synapse might have another chance later on. But yeah, I think for action adventure, I think you make a good point there, Ben. You've won me over with your strong case for Call of the Mountain.
There we go.
Yeah.
And you say I played it quite a lot at launch. I think I probably got about halfway through it, and I've been wanting to get back for it. But the bit I played of it, was really impressed by it. It's just there's just been so much other stuff to play in the meantime, and because we've been given games to cover, I've always felt like I need to cover these games before going back to play the games that I bought for myself. And like the games that I've bought with, I've hardly ever barely touched them because we've just got so many other things to try and cover for review and stuff. So, but what I did play of Call of the Mountain was super impressed by it, and I think that it does nail that sense of adventure with its kind of its vistas, the jungle and that sense of awe at the world you're in.
Cool. Well done.
Thanks for call.
Well done you, Ben. Well done you. And well done Fire Sprite.
Well done then.
Okay, next up is Best Multiplayer Game. Now, this is a fun category. I like these games, and I don't usually like multiplayer games, but something about multiplayer in VR, it hits you different. And the nominees for this one are Sea Smash VRS, Walkabout Mini Golf, Crossfire Sierra Squad, and Ghostbusters.
I think this is going to be unanimous. I don't even think. I think we can just count. We can count to 3 and then say it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So on 3. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, and then we'll say it.
Yeah.
1. Do you know how this works? 1, 2.
Hold on a minute. We're doing it on.
Not after 3. 1, 2, 3. Then say it. 1, 2, 3.
Walkabout Mini Golf.
There we go. Golf clicks for Walkabout.
Right, best sports. Okay, yeah.
Then that's to no detriment to the other games because each of the other 3. Well,
No.
I mean, each of the other 3 were enjoyable multiplayer experiences, no matter what you want to say about Ghostbusters. It was fun playing it together.
Yeah, the game itself was just like meh, but playing that game with you and Reese was really good fun. It's really silly fun, as was Crossfire Sierra Squad, for such a laugh. That is only 2 players, so
no, you can play a 4-player.
Oh, I think I'm thinking of the co-op mode, aren't I?
Yeah, but yeah, we could play that together. Sea Smash is much better than
definitely. I think that would be pushing very close for me.
Yeah, I think that is a strong second in that category if it wasn't for Walkabout, because I think, but yeah, Walkabout Mini Golf. That is for me. This year has been. There's so many good fun times we've had, and our community have had as well playing Walkabout Mini Golf. And I've not been able to play it as much as online with you guys as I'd like to, but the games that I've had have always been really good fun, and just the game itself is fun. Just hanging out with people in that space is fun. It's such a lovely game. Yeah,
agreed. And I mean, we played it a few days ago, just the 3 of us, and it was all of those things, wasn't it? Just funny, silly, competitive, just what you want from a multiplayer game. So
it's just the right sort of competitive as well. It's almost like it's not got that whole Mario Party thing where it's too unpredictable, but it can change within a couple of holes. Like someone could have an absolute mare. You might think, someone's romping this, and then they just cannot get a shot in, or they just end up hitting the shot limit and just absolutely does it. And then you might be like me and get a hole in one. I'm just saying, and then you'd be like, "Oh, I'm back in it."
15 shots behind.
Yeah, all right. My tracking wasn't working.
Of course.
Yeah. Get that sense.
Your tracking's as good as Phil 2's, I think. So
yeah. But yeah, it's such a fun game. So yeah, congratulations to Walkabout Mini Golf there. A well-deserved winner.
Definitely.
Okay, next category we have Best Sports Game. And the nominees for Best Sports Game are Gran Turismo 7, because yes, racing is a sport, C-Smash VRS, Skater VR, and Les Mills Body Combat. Oof. Now, for me, I am strongly thinking C-Smash VRS is my winner on this one, because that is the most like, it feels like you are doing sports in VR. Yep. It's you are moving your body, and you cannot, you can't just fake it. It's not like when you play like golf on the Wii or something, or or tennis on the Wii. You've got to be properly committed to the shots, and you are jumping around and running around, and it has that same sporting sort of competitiveness as well, where you are playing at someone, and it is intense, and this. Yeah, it really does embody the feel of that.
I completely agree with that. I think I would probably go C-Smash as well for all those reasons. I think Skater would have been my top pick if it weren't for a few of the technical grumbles that we've already spoken about at length, because that did that whole thing of capturing the feeling of skateboarding and absolutely nailed that, which was phenomenal, and I really enjoyed playing it, but it was just everything else in between. Whereas C-Smash captures the feeling of playing tennis in space or squash in space,
I imagine,
but it's so slick. Like if we had an award for slickest presentation, that would win it easily as well. But the fact that it's got the gameplay, but it's also got the presentation and all the polish to back it up, and they've added to it with different modes and everything else, it's just like, it's easily the winner for me.
Doesn't really matter what I say then, does it? But I think you need to give hats off here to Gran Turismo 7 as well, because that experience is unreal. Like, it's unreal, but from to both of your arguments, to a proper sports argument, and this is not racing isn't a sport, because it is a sport, but it's, I think from the actual sport on VR should feel like you're playing a sport, as you say. I think things like even VR Skater, to an extent, you were jumping about, you felt like you were doing the flips, you were using, like, there was a lot of motion involved in them. Body combat as well. Like, I've really enjoyed body combat, and then I think Autos Labs today announced that it's a Les Mills dance is coming next. Like, I can see me dancing in VR. Like, I'm totally down for that. But I think C-Smash is a worthy winner in this category. And even for things we've seen, like, look at the queues that had when we were at like EGX, and people wanting to try it, and people enjoying it, and the guys have made such an effort to not sell this game, but to promote this game and promote it as that proper VR experience, which it is. Absolutely well done to C-Smash.
But it's also just such a pure game experience as well. That's like the reason you're getting those big queues at EGX is because anyone can you can just look at it and know what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Whereas VR games can, and Skater is another example of this, the controls take you a good couple of hours to get used to, whereas C-Smash it's just I know what I'm doing straight away.
Well, I'll tell you what, leave it there for C-Smash, because we may be coming back and doing a proper re-review of C-Smash now that it has so much more that's been added to it since launch. And we talked about it when it launched. We covered it then, but it is, and I've been playing it recently, it is a different game to the one that launched. So we're going to have a proper sit down on that in a future episode coming hopefully very soon. Let's leave it there for now on C-Smash.
Are you, Laurie, are you noting these winners, by the way?
Yeah, of course I am.
This guy.
Professional.
The whole thing's a fix. I've already written them down before we started.
We're acting. This is all acting.
We were told the winners beforehand, just to make it look convincing.
Yeah. But no, I also want to shout out GT7. If there was a best racing category, then this GT7 would have been hands down, or even the best simulation category, GT7 would win hands down. Maybe we should have done a best simulation category. Someone write it down for next year. We'll do best simulation category, because that experience of that, of being behind a wheel and looking around a racetrack and stuff, and that game has had a whole new lease of life by having its VR conversion. It's been absolutely it's incredible playing that game. Ben, you could only imagine what it's like to go around, complete several laps of a course in a fast car. One day. Right, which brings us to the final award of the night. Game of the Year, the Cross-Button VR Game of the Year, CBVR GOT. The nominees for this are... Yep. The nominees are Synapse, Pistol Whip, Gran Turismo 7, The Seventh Guest, Walkabout Mini Golf, and Red Matter 2. Not Masternoid, I'm afraid.
Wait, but why?
Well, right, put Masternoid on your list if you like.
I mean, it's got to be. It's my game.
Well, then. Okay, Masternoid is a nominee then. Doesn't matter.
Go on, sorry, Laurie. Go through that list again. I was just listening out for Masternoid. I ignored all the others.
Well, it's our. I did ask you several times if you'd like to nominate anything else during this week, and my messages were ignored. So fuck you. You can't have it on the list. You had ample chance to nominate any games that you wanted. If you don't want to nominate Masternoid for Game of the Year, that's your fucking problem. You can take it up with the devs. So the Game of the Year nominees were Synapse, Pistol Whip, Gran Turismo 7, The Seventh Guest, Walkabout Mini Golf, and Red Matter 2.
And Masternoid.
Go on, Alex, you go first.
It's Masternoid for me. Do you know, it's a really tough one because obviously when we went back and we done our top 10 and we had Synapse at the top 10 and that was worthy winning at the top 10 or kind of worthy of that point in time. But see, the more and more in the years have gone and more that we've played Walkabout Mini Golf, the more and more I've fallen in love with Walkabout Mini Golf. Everything they have come along and done ever since, every course that they've done ever since, every game we've ever played, we've never had a bad game of this. Like, such a community game. It probably brought a lot of people into the community itself. I just think this is the essence of a VR experience and has just been nothing but joy. Like, for me, it's hard to look past it when you see it in a list, and I'm not saying it's the best, and I suppose this is supposed to be the best game, and that, but it is in terms of even what it does. It's so good at what it does. It innovates in itself. It gets better with every new DLC that comes, and including the one that's coming that I can't talk too much about, but I have played, and it's exceptional, I think.
Well, my vote is going for Synapse. It was our number one when we did our top 10 list of games. It's still my number one. I was playing it earlier. There's nothing that captures for me that racing through those stylized worlds. You're popping off shots. You can hear where someone is. The 3D audio is fantastic to hear if they're above you, to the side of you, wherever they are. When you can see a character, when you pick them up, I sort of run through the game with my pistol out or my submachine gun, and then your hand poised, ready to grab anyone that you see. There's just that power fantasy, that ability, and the upgrade it does as well. When you have multiple runs, it's such a good, well-balanced roguelike in that it doesn't get frustrating because the runs change. It brings in the harder later game enemies. It brings them into the early levels on subsequent runs. It gives you powers that makes things that once you found impossibly hard become easy, and you can be like, I'm so much stronger now, and I can do this. And you can unlock more powerful weapons and stuff. And then the game gets harder with you and stuff. So it always keeps responding to it. It's so well balanced like that, and just the look of it is so stylish, and the voice acting, and I think it's a complete package for me. And just running through those levels in VR, it wouldn't interest me in non VR, because I feel like I'm in that guy's head. You are running through those constructs, those worlds, and able to just become increasingly powerful and able to manipulate that worlds and stuff, and just have that power over everything. It's just such a cool feeling to play. So yeah, that gets my vote. So Ben, let's see if you're going to nominate something else now, and we'll have a step.
What would happen?
What would happen? Well, we were just going to say it all fucking night long until we can decide to settle on something.
I've got nothing to do. Pistol Whip. Pistol Whip is very close, and that was certainly my front runner at the start of the year. I think what Alex said about Walkabout being kind of like a pure joy is really important, but I think it's won the right category already.
Yeah.
Because it's strong as a multiplayer. I can't imagine. I think it loses a lot if you don't have friends around to play with. And whereas Synapse is more of a... We said this before, it's really hard to describe, but it feels like a proper game, for want of a better way of describing it, that's less insulting to all the other games. But it feels like a really slick, single-player...
meaty game.
Meaty game that you could show to anyone that's on the fence about VR and just go, no, look, it's got the sort of games you like as well. You know, I think it is the best game on the platform so far, pound for pound, still. So I mean, it's got my vote. I think it's got to be Synapse.
And I think that's fair. Like, I do think that's fair. It was even just as Laurie read out that list, I'm like, there's just something I feel like from us as a group, but it's deserving of being on that list. But I take your point, Ben, in terms of Walkabout as a single player experience. It's still enjoyable, but it's not got the same magic. As definitely it won the right category. So yeah, Masternoid should win. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But out of the ones that Laurie's allowed onto the list.
Out of the one that Laurie's allowed on the list, yeah, Synapse.
Yeah. I mean, I think Masternoid, the games that you're talking about there, they're kind of shining in their own. Yeah, Masternoid, I think, is a fantastic arcade game, but it doesn't have everything else, that complete package that Synapse has got. A narrative, it's got the gameplay, it's got the wow factor for me. And there's that video you put out on YouTube, that little shorts video you did where your first time, Ben, where you do the telekinesis and your giddy laugh of this is fun, this is going to be a lot of fun. It has that moment is just unforgettable for me. Like, I'll remember that. It's one of those things that when you play certain games that you think, this is something I've never done before, and that's so rare these days to get that in video games. Like when you played a game in 3D for the first time, or you did something new in game, or you did like a Legend of Zelda game in 3D and it had the targeting and stuff, and it just like, wow, this is something new that I've not done before. And to have that eye tracking telekinesis, it works so well with tracking the hand movements and your eyes to what you look at. It just gives you such power to manipulate the world and to dominate enemies and stuff. It's so satisfying. So yeah, it's for me, it's got everything. It's got that compulsive, just do one more run. It's not perfect. I think if they made a sequel, they could really make it even better. They could add more to it and more sort of level design variety and more enemy types and things. They can just expand it. But I think for that first game, I really hope they do make a sequel to it. But yeah, I just think it's such a complete game. Whereas, yeah, Masternoid, best arcade. Walk Up Mini Golf, best multiplayer. I'm a bit disappointed Seventh Guest. It's not finding its way to anything, but them's the breaks. There's just the games that we were talking about here. The stuff on this headset is so much variety and so much good stuff there.
Yeah, but clicks for Synapse.
Yes, ultimate winner.
Yeah, well, let's see what 2024 is going to bring for the headset. But I think, only came out in February, so it's not even a full year. 10 months, basically. What a lineup of stuff there that we've been talking about tonight. Just to recap, incredible. Best arcade game goes to Masternoid. Best narrative game, Before Your Eyes. Best puzzle game, The Last Clockwinder. Best action adventure, Call of the Mountain. Best multiplayer game, Walkabout Mini Golf. Best sports game, Sea Smash VRS. And game of the year was Synapse.
Hey.
There you go.
That's such a good
strong
list.
Yeah.
That is why you listen to Crossbutton VR, because there's some of those games I think are not going to be picking up any other recognition or being talked about at the end of year game of the year categories and stuff. But I mean, yeah, they are all absolutely quality games that we have found and loved, and are well worth anyone's time. I think. Happily recommend
100%.
any of them.
Yep. Brilliant.
And
Awesome.
and any of the games that have been nominated, like every single game on there is worth playing, obviously. So yeah,
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Should just say, if anyone's listening or watching and found this all a bit too civilized, check out the Crosscast Game of the Year show, because that will be
far
a
less
bloodbath.
civilized. Yes.
Yeah.
That
Look forward to that.
I think with VR, because a smaller pool of games for, I guess, it's easier to pick a winner. But yeah, with normal game of the year, normal games this year, Christ, it's been such a strong year.
We might need to get you on that, Laurie, as well, just so we can have another voice of reason.
Oh, might you?
Yeah.
Spider-Man won't be winning.
No, well, I wouldn't vote for it. Tears
I didn't
of the
say you
Kingdom.
would. I'm just making sure nobody else does.
Tears of the Kingdom for me, I think.
Okay, spoilers.
No, sorry. Just saying, that's what don't matter. Well, okay, let's wrap things up there. Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you have enjoyed this episode, and you should have done, because, it's the Game of the Year. People love Game of the Year episodes. But if you enjoyed it, we'd love it if you could please tell your family and friends all about us. And if you'd like to get more involved, well, please do drop into our Discord and say hello. Thank you to everyone that's already done so. Last but absolutely not least, thank you so much to all of our patrons for supporting the work we do. I've been your host, Laurie. These two have been Ben and Alex, and we will see you again next time. Until then, though, it's goodbye.